This is Chris Whalen, CPA, and welcome to the Street Level Business Podcast. This is one of a series of interviews that I'm calling Coronavirus Lockdown Business Stories, where I interview other business owners about their experience with the lockdown. And today we're very lucky to have Eric Pascarella. He's an extraordinary financial advisor that I work with and team with on a weekly, if not daily basis. Good afternoon, Eric. So why don't you introduce everyone to yourself and your firm?
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. I appreciate you doing this series. I've watched a few so far, and they've been very interesting, very helpful. For those who I've not met before, my name is Eric Pascarella. As Chris said, I am a financial advisor. I am working with my father and a team of 10 very talented staff members that help us in supporting and serving our clients. I've been working with my father for the past 8 years. Prior to that, I spent 6 years working for PricewaterhouseCoopers, auditing financial institutions, some of it right through the financial crisis. Prior to that, graduated Villanova University with a degree in accounting and finance. We serve the Parsippany, New Jersey area, but we've got clients across the entire country. Our primary focus is really individuals, families, and small business owners.
Okay. So one quick question, because you're very client focused, individual client focused like me. So prior to the lockdown, would you say how much of your communication was in person and was other, phone, video conferencing before the lockdown? What was your mix of communication type, if you will?
Absolutely. I would say that we were doing in-person meetings, we were doing phone appointments, and then we were doing teleconference or video conference, which is just the phone with a video component. I would say we were probably averaging 50-50 phone and in person. Really a small number of actual video conference. I actually like to insist for the first meeting, if you can't meet with us in person, I want that video conference because 80% of communication is nonverbal and you catch a lot of stuff through the video that you don't through the phone. Of course, fast forward now, that's a little bit more different, that breakdown. We're doing a lot more video these days because clients are more comfortable with it.
Right. And also I think, for us being in similar industries, let's say, we both service the entire country, so as opposed to 30 years ago, there's many clients I've never met, never met in person. They're all over the country. All right. So let's say, we just mentioned this before for the pre-interview, but did you apply for any of the government business assistance, the PPP or SBA EIDL, or even the unemployment portion? Can you give us just some input on your experience there?
Sure, we have, and we have clients who have. And the feedback and our application is still pending. The feedback we've been given is that it's a pretty smooth process, it's a pretty easy application. And as you put out there for clients, which I enjoyed reading, there's been more guidance on how to kind of ultimately go for forgiveness. I think the important thing on this is to remember is that things are constantly changing, things are in movement, and you want to just stay on top of things. In terms of what we know now, I think the important things are, if you haven't done so yet, there is still money out there, even if your financial institution has told you they're no longer accepting applications. You always, even from the start, want to go to an institution where you have an existing relationship. It's been reported that there's a lot more success there. Number two, if that institution has said no longer accepting new applications, maybe you want to nudge them along a little bit because there is money still available. And second, I think most importantly, you want to make sure that as you're going through this process, you want to document everything. You want to keep a separate folder for it. Maybe even consider opening up a separate bank account for the payments you're making. If you intend to go for forgiveness on the back end, I think you'll save yourself a lot of legwork if you ever have to explain what you did, how you did it, what you paid for.
And I do urge everyone to go to my blog. It's chriswhalencpa.com. Go to my blog page. There's a lot of information. I have a very specific coronavirus-related blog post page that really dispels a lot of myths and gives you a lot of good information that me and my team have accumulated the past 2 months. So it's definitely worth a dive into that information. So when the lockdown happened, or you first heard that, okay, we're going to have to close the office down in some way, or were you deemed essential at first or no? Because I was deemed essential eventually. Are you deemed essential now or no?
We are deemed essential. We are basically dealing with people's finances. That being said, it's just me and my father here right now. We've got 10 staff members that are all working remote. I actually have to give my IT professional a little bit of credit. He actually came to me on January 25th, told me that this was going to be a huge problem and that we have to immediately make plans for everyone to work remotely.
Right.
Now, something you have to need to know about Philip is that he is always paranoid. The reason why he picked up on this is because, of course, when you're in IT security, you're always looking what's going on in China, what's going on in Russia, and I think that's how he picked up on it in some of the message boards. So Philip and I, in January, we had a conversation. We said if we needed to, we could have 50% of the staff work remote tomorrow, so we're in good shape. I think as we quickly gained an understanding of what was going on, specifically how long this lockdown might be, I remember sitting with a client that works for a large pharmaceutical company saying that their boss, this was probably the first week of March, was not really wanting to have everyone work remote, yet they wanted to prolong it as long as possible because at that pharmaceutical company, they were thinking the lockdown, the work remote would be lasting until July. Well, when we got wind of that, we said, we've got to make some changes. So I ran out to Walmart, brought some more laptops, and we quickly went to a 100% ability to work remote. Everyone in our office basically has the same setup they have here at their homes now, with all of the considerations given for information security.
Yeah, the same thing with me. And I'm still dealing with a lot of paper. A lot of my clients, they can't scan everything. So
Yeah.
Even before we were deemed essential, I was coming into work because all my families need their refunds more than ever. So there's no one's going to tell a family, I got to wait for Governor Murphy to tell me it's okay to come in at all. And I have most of my staff also, as you are, with working home. But in my case, I've been almost like back to the 80s. I'm bringing audit bags to different houses, dropping off on porches with gloves on and mask and taking the other one. It's like a real Mission Impossible scene. Yeah, but it's
like
worked
the
out.
doctors doing the house calls.
It's worked out pretty well. So like with me, our clients are very concerned. You, of course, are financial advisors. So with the market slightly correcting, in the past
Sure.
few months. So I'm sure you had the fair amount of anxious customer calls, what's happening, I have so many calls about the tax system. So, but besides those calls, would you say that the level of current client interaction and new client type of meetings, virtual or otherwise, has been the same? Has it been more?
Oh no, we've definitely picked up in volume. Absolutely. This has been a catalyst for people to come in. I would say that I could probably put them into two groups. I would say that there's the people who are kind of going it alone, who said, I don't know if I should be more aggressive. I don't know if I should be more conservative. I'm getting a lot of mixed messages in the media right now. I kind of want a financial advisor to help me parse through this and make sense of things. That'd probably be group one, the group that doesn't want to go it alone anymore.
Right.
And then group two, which is those people with a lot of job uncertainty in particular who are getting near retirement, or maybe they've got real job security, but they just want a little bit of a clearer picture of how this might unfold for them. Those people looking for guidance around their retirement, which might be sooner than planned in some cases.
And with me, if people know my blog, I've been pretty much up on this. I think it's my job when something like this happens. It's just I've gotten so many calls because other accountants haven't really been studying this. They can't answer the question. And I've gotten calls from around the country, which of course it's great for me. But I just, of course, every time someone calls me, I say, who was your prior accountant? First thing I say, who did you used to use?
Yeah.
And if it's TurboTax, then I say, what I always say about TurboTax is, imagine you went into an emergency room with holding your heart, and there was a PC there with turbo heart surgery. So you gotta
doesn't give you the warm and fuzzies, does it?
Right. So it's just interesting that in times when there's panic or worry, this is to every entrepreneur out there, you really need to be the expert. You need to do your homework. Yeah. I've spent countless hours, I still do, trying to be on top of this, trying to become a hub for a lot of this information. I got a call from Oklahoma City yesterday. Someone put in PPP loan questions. I'm coming up high. So, but anyone out there, I say for me, if your accountant hasn't been really on top of this, communicating with you, how does this impact you, or making themselves available, which is another problem. I have people that they have questions, they can't get in touch with them. So Eric's very good at keeping up on everything.
Thank you for that compliment, Chris.
And he picks up the phone, which is good. Um,
Absolutely.
So the next question is, has a lockdown exposed any problems or weaknesses in your business processes?
Like any professional athlete, we're always looking for ways to get better. I think any entrepreneur will tell you, whatever you're doing, no matter how good, it can always be done better. I think when we think about improvements that we've made from the beginning, I'd probably classify it all as polish. I was fortunate while working for PricewaterhouseCoopers, they sent us all 1,600 interns to the Disney Institute because Disney does customer service like nobody's business. And one thing I learned while I was down at the leadership school was they've got what you call front stage and backstage. And there's what goes on behind the scenes that kind of makes the magic happen. And then there's what actually goes in front of your customer. And you want to make sure what gets delivered to the customer is very polished, very easy to understand, very professional looking. And I think as we look at and reflect on changes we've made, a lot of it has been more to make more crisp the delivery of that service or those actual paperwork, things like that. For a spell there, we couldn't rely on UPS anymore. Overnight delivery was arriving 3 and 4 days later, and we quickly had to change some things to a lot more e-signature, a lot more e-delivery, trying to figure out how clients without scanners could get us things. I would say that we and our clients have moved a lot more electronically in terms of the transmission of documents and funds and things like that. And it's always tough to go through that transition, but I think it's going to make everybody, us and our clients, a lot more efficient as we move forward.
Yeah, it's definitely. I'm a tech guy for a long time, so it's forced people to get comfortable with tech, whether older or younger people, especially with the video conferencing. So I've got to use that myself to leverage meetings with them, virtually. So I think that's going to be a great thing going forward, is that people will accept them more and see the value of them. There's two sides to that. People say having a physical time in front of you, which I'll always take a physical meeting, is definitely better, which is not true. And they also think that a phone call can suffice on the other side. So coming down to it, it's if you can do a video conference and see somebody for, as you said, for all the different types of communication you're getting besides verbal, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
So I found it's just been a boom for me, especially talking to people, even people don't have as clients. I've had so many calls, and every time I talk to someone, I said, "Are you on a phone or PC? Whether it be Facebook or Zoom, let's talk. I want to see you." Yeah. And it's just meant to make people feel better. That's my whole past 2 months. Well, it's gonna be okay. Don't rush. The money's not going to run out. That's my whole day. I just practice that.
It's important to remind yourself that. Absolutely. Sometimes we need a little self-enforcement. I think that the other thing that's been interesting too is that we've always had the ability to do it, but our clients haven't necessarily had the interest to do it. And I think it goes back to the polish. It's actually both ways too. We're more familiar with it and the clients are more familiar with it. Things like as you search for the leave meeting button, I see more people kind of holding the smile through the end of the video as opposed to the concentrated where's the leave meeting button and getting this face on the freeze frame. I think that we're all kind of growing into this new world and it's great for everyone in terms of productivity.
And in terms of your competition, they'll be left behind. There are people that don't want to adopt this and really of course, for 20, 30 years, I want to communicate with clients however they want to. Facebook, WhatsApp, Zoom, Google Meet, Hangout. So wherever you're comfortable, I want to make it available to you. So I think you're going to see other firms, maybe some older practitioners, that they're going to lose clients because they have to be smooth with this stuff. So that's advice here.
Absolutely.
For anyone out there, you want to make sure that your communication is crisp, it's quick, and clear, and everyone knows how to get in touch with you. All right, so let's go. So
the dissemination of video has been fantastic all around. I think that's really going to enhance our ability to communicate in an effective way with clients all over the country.
I agree. So now let's turn to like an outlook. I like this section of the interviews for this to talk about a short and then long-term outlook for your profession as a financial advisor, but also some input from you just as an entrepreneur and business owner, your feelings about any part of the lockdown, financial, physical, social, so start with your profession. Do you think there's going to be any long lasting changes? You might know something that's coming down from the SEC or something in terms of who licensed you, let's say, or there. So go ahead. I'll give you an open forum here to discuss those things.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be a lot of changes. There was already a lot of changes in our profession in the works before all of this around best interest and who can actually use the term financial advisor. It's one of the few professions, we have a lot of designations. I'm a CPA, I'm a certified public accountant, I'm a CFP, certified financial planner. I'm a accredited investment fiduciary, an AIF, and a personal financial specialist. But there's other people out there without those designations, and some without a single designation calling themselves a financial advisor. There's already regulatory rules in the works, some of which have gotten pushed back, some of which are going to go through, around who exactly can use that name. I think the greatest challenge that our profession probably has through all of this, and you might have seen some of it, especially around Zoom and Zoom bombing, is trying to marry up convenience with the security side of things. I think those two are typically mutually exclusive. The more convenient something is, a lot of times the less secure it is. And I think that we're making great progress on both fronts, both making things more convenient and more secure. But as these financial institutions get to be a little bit more better with their security, and people of those bad actors out there turn to the smaller targets with less valuable information, but perhaps that are a little easier to get into, I think we want to make sure that we kind of stay cutting edge, both on the convenience factor, both on the technology factor, but both on the security factor as well. Mm-hmm. I used to joke with my peers that in 5 years, geography won't matter. Your client won't care what state you're from because they're not going to come see you in person anyway. The meetings are going to be virtual. The paperwork's going to be virtual. Everything's going to go electronically. I think that got accelerated in a big way because of this. Right. It goes back to the classic saying, people love change, but they hate changing. I think we were all forced to get comfortable with video conference a lot faster than anyone would have if they were left to do it in their own time. I think because of that, it's a really exciting time for my industry. You just want to make sure, and this goes for all entrepreneurs, whether in your real estate, whether you're in any kind of sales position, you alluded to it earlier, your competition is going to be changing. You don't have to be on the bleeding edge of that change, but you don't want to be left behind. I think this is a really exciting time for entrepreneurs to get very creative and go capture a lot of market share out there. And it's a great time to make sure that your clients, whether they be business owners or anything, are kind of following along and keeping up as well, whether you're a tax preparer or a financial advisor.
I'm glad you ended with that, commenting on both of our professions, because I do want to say that I believe that your tax preparer should never also be your financial advisor ever. So you can't do two things. People think they're linked or similar. They're absolutely different. It's like your landscaper doing HVAC. So I don't have any of my series 6 and 7. I'm a CPA. I'm supposed to be the last place you come for independent, objective advice paid by the hour. I could never do what Eric does, and I shouldn't try to. So just a message here. If you do have a financial planner who is also your tax preparer, even if they say they have a separate division that does it, please engage someone else. I know a really good CPA in case you need one, or a financial advisor. But don't ever have the same person be both of those professionals in your life, right?
I absolutely agree, Chris. I say if you think the Bible's long, you should try on the Internal Revenue Service Code. And one more thing, it's constantly changing. That's why we always look for really good CPAs like yourself that we are comfortable referring clients to. And I can't think of one I trust more than you.
There you go. That $100 a week I'm paying you just paid off. Thank you very much for that plug. So one or two last things, and I'll let you go. So just talk about your client base. If you're a financial advising client, so what should, if someone's out there saying, hey, I have a financial advisor and I'm not sure if I've been getting the proper attention. So let's start with part of the correction time. So what should they be expecting from there up and now through today and then in the near future, just in general? What should they be expecting in terms of service and communication and information, and also confidence in you, right? That's the
Sure.
idea here. So give me your idea of that timeline.
Sure, absolutely. The market started to move south in a big way right around February 19th, and it went down in a pretty big way right through March 23rd. And then it started to climb up again. And I would say the volume of conversations we were having kind of rose proportionally, or maybe disproportionately, with the decline in the market. As the market went down more, we were having more conversations, and not just with our clients too, but the investment managers as well, to make sure we were understanding what they were doing, why they were doing it, so we could be educated and make good changes to the investments. And I think as the market started to climb up, clients got a little bit more comfortable. They were feeling a little bit better about the situation. And I think now actually the volume is starting to pick up a little bit again, because clients are focused on their own mortality. Clients are starting to hear mixed things in the media, and they're looking for someone who can help put it all in perspective. I would say in terms of an expectation that you would have your financial advisor, you just want to make sure there's a plan. You want to make sure that you understand what you're doing. You want to make sure you understand why you're doing it. You want to make sure that there's a customized approach for you, and you're not dealing with a cookie cutter situation where you're not really sure what you own, why you own it, what's going on, if you're going to run out of money. I think when we get a lot of clients walking in the door, the comment we frequently receive from them is, this was a lot more thorough than I was expecting. We went a lot deeper than I thought we would, which kind of tells me the last guy or girl, maybe, or woman did not. And that's always a good confidence booster for us that we're doing something right. I think, to go back to your question, Chris, what do you want to make sure your financial is doing? What's a fair expectation? Understand what you own, why you own it, and more importantly than the investments, what's the plan? What are the goals? What are we saving for? And make sure they're touching on all the important areas of planning. What are the goals that we're investing for? What are the investments? What's the tax planning we're doing? Are we working with someone like a Chris? What's the estate planning? Are we working with an attorney? You don't want to be working with a financial advisor necessarily who wears all those hats. You know what they say, jack of all trades, expert in none.
Right.
But you want to work with a financial advisor who's kind of making sure you've got all those bases covered.
When it comes to financial plans like you would do, give someone a 20, 25-year plan, I want everyone out there to remember that Eric's very good at this, but even the larger firms the larger firms are not very good at giving you a true after-tax net monthly cash flow number, right? So you're going there thinking, okay, I'm 55, I'm going to be 75, where we're going to go, what kind of income stream are we going to have, passive or whatever we might have at the time. And so we have to know what amount of money I need on a monthly basis. But remember, we have to do it after tax. I see so many plans I get where people said, oh, they gave me this 10 years ago. I'm 10 years out from retiring. Chris, what do you think? I said, well, you're $400 a month deficient because the tax effect wasn't considered. So if you do have a plan, if you have I'm sure you have a great financial advisor already or a great tax person, make sure that the after-tax number is detailed and explained to you, because they aren't tax people. And sometimes they're like Merrill Lynch, very large systems don't accommodate that very well, and people are left short at the worst time. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. We like to say our goal is for all of our clients to pay $1 million in tax, because the only way you pay $1 million in tax is to earn one heck of a lot of money on your investments. And you're doing something right if you're paying that much. That being said, you typically want to pay no more or less than you are obligated to. And it's really important as you're making investment decisions that you really incorporate the tax planning and that you're working with a CPA who's going to look for those opportunities. A good CPA is certainly worth their weight in gold. A good tax preparer, you want to make sure that you're working with that good tax preparer. And you want to make sure that your investment advisor, when they make decisions, how do we save for college? How do we save for retirement? Do we do Roth IRA? Do we do traditional IRA? That we are keeping that all in mind. Sorry, Chris, were you on mute there?
I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So we want to make sure that we hit all those bases. You don't want to make sure that the goal is to pay as little tax as possible, period, because then we wouldn't be making any money. But you want to make sure that it's part of the plan, a major component and ingredient of how we're investing, and again, why we're investing this way.
Agreed. Excellent. I think we could stop there, but please tell everyone how to best reach out to you.
Absolutely. You can get us on our website, N as in Nick, P as in Patrick, cofinancial.com. Or you can give us a call at 973-428-3400, or just give us a quick Google search. I'm sure Chris will post our name below the video. Always
Yes,
happy to be of assistance, and always happy to collaborate.
And thanks everyone for watching today. Again, everyone can reach out to me at chriswhalencpa.com. That's WHALEN and the Whalen in there. All my contact information is there. Check out my blog. And if you ever do need Eric or any other of my professional strategic partners information, reach out to me as well. I have it at the ready. Eric, thank you so much for joining me today. And I think what we should do possibly in the fall is do a follow-up, just after school opens and get towards fourth quarter, just to do sort of a post-mortem on where we are and see how far we've come or not, as after today. Does that make sense?
I think that's a great idea. I think a lot of us entrepreneurs are going to be completely reimagining the way we do business. So I'm excited to see what the landscape looks like at that point in time.
All right, great. Have a great day, Eric.
You too, Chris. Thanks so much.